Today we're going to talk a little bit about using ChatGPT with Bing, and I'll explain why I'd recommend doing it this way. One is, if you look up here, we're using GPT-4 with Bing, which is the one you actually have to pay for with OpenAI, and it's free for us. Well, it's included in our, actually it's free for everyone in this way. If you go to Bing and you sign in, as you normally would, we go back. Oh, looks like my search mode. We're gonna have to fix my search mode. Oh, I think it's giving me an error because it can't set my search mode. So we're actually gonna go to Edge because I know it'll work there. And you may have students that have the same issue. It's trying to set up safe search. I'm logged in up here, as you can see, and if you look down here, that takes all of the chat history and stuff and keeps it within eSci Prep. So this doesn't get sent out to OpenAI, doesn't get used for training and stuff like that, which is nice. And typically the way, well, one, you can just use this as being, like I have an 8-year-old who likes soccer and art. Birthday. You'll get information from ChatGPT-4, which is great, and it goes out and looks for the web. Sometimes it's going to make these up as GPT does, but these are, we can use it as we would there. Today, though, I'm going to build something of we can build a quick tutor, for example. So let's say I want to learn programming. So I can make a prompt for this, and a lot of the prompts are really about, if you think of all that ChatGPT knows about, it's sort of like generally knowledgeable about much of the world, but it really doesn't have any good intuition for what kind of task it's being asked of it. So you really have to guide it. I like to think, imagine you had like an 8th grader as a teaching assistant for you, and you had to really explain precisely what you wanted them to do. So let's say I am going to do programming, and we're going to be thinking about maybe programming 1. I want to tell Bing how I want it to behave. So I'm going to say, you are a teaching assistant who is helping students learn Python. They have only written small programs such as Hello World, and are beginning to learn about if statements. They have no advanced programming knowledge. You will receive questions, and you should answer in such a way you help students solve problems without using advanced concepts. So I'm telling them I want them to behave as a teaching assistant. I want them to, we're talking about the Python programming language. We're giving a little bit of context of where the students are. And we are talking about if statements. They have no advanced programming knowledge. And then we're saying how we want you to interact. Okay, we'll say that. And Bing will respond back to me. So I'm going to say, I want to make a program that rolls a die. How do I have it randomly put the number between 1 and 6? So I'm going to ask a question. And it's going to try to give me a pretty straightforward answer. So here we go. So I've got some code, and it's told me, about this function, which is something that I would have to use. And then I would say, then how would I make it roll 2 dice? Show both numbers. And so I can have a conversation with it, and you'll notice that it's sort of giving me nice, straightforward things. And if I were to ask it a question that would be a natural thing to use arrays for, or something like that, we'll see if it actually arrays are sort of lists of data, whether it'll avoid using that because it knows I'm a beginner. How might I pick from 6 different fortunes instead of numbers? Like a magic 8-ball fortune. Well, we'll just say magic 8-ball because we're simulating a student here. And so you can see here that Bing is actually pretty clever, that it uses the search here as well in addition to ChatGPT, and it's looking for sources. So here, it is building an array. That's fine. And then apparently there's a Python function called random nut choice fortunes if I import that. So this is now solving this for me. Of course, as a student, I want to test it and know it. And then we might have questions like, I don't understand how the fortunes variable works. And it answers those questions. So I could set up this initial prompt, I could give it to students, and it could be something that might help them with their homework. Of course, you want to talk about what is acceptable for any particular assignment and so on. The nice thing about doing it through Bing versus ChatGPT is that it will also give you references and links. They worked hard on this at Microsoft to make it able to do these types of things. Not all the code works, by the way. I've played around with it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that is essentially the flow that I would recommend. And the nice thing about what we call this beginning prompt engineering, is that all of you are probably quite good at this. This is about setting context, providing clear instructions, stuff that you do as a teacher all the time. And if you think about interacting with ChatGPT in a chain of feedback and response and providing clarity, you can make this tool do some, I don't know if it's super impressive, but it's very interesting things that may be useful for you and for your students in providing additional help. I, personally, Jonathan, am super excited to hear about any ideas that you may have about how something like this could or couldn't be useful in your class. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Thanks.